That could have
Hashtag
been bad.
trauma.
They're like, we're your grandparents. And then this baby gets born and they're like, never mind. Just kidding. Hello and welcome back to the Vibe Check Cafe podcast. I'm your host, Lena.
And I'm Ashley.
And today we're getting into the assholes family style. We're going to be talking all things Thanksgiving because when the family gets together, it's a big mess and we all know it. So let's get into it. Okay. And now, do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
Ooh. All right, I'll go first.
Okay.
All right, first up today, we have Am I the asshole for calling my son's wife disrespectful for bringing her own food to Thanksgiving dinner?
Okay. I don't know because when we do Thanksgiving, it's like a
Yeah.
potluck kind of a lot of times, like because there's so much food to make. It'll
Yeah.
be like, okay, you make the green bean casserole, I'm making the turkey and the ham, you make the mashed potatoes, like stuff like that. Or if there's something somebody really wants to make, then they're in charge of making it. So I don't know. I feel like
Right.
bringing food to Thanksgiving isn't a terrible thing.
Right. It's usually like a unified team effort when it comes to Thanksgiving meals. I do know like the main course is usually left up to like the hostess, i.e., like the turkey or whatever you choose to eat.
Right.
Um, but also, dietary needs, whether it's they're gluten free or whatever it might be.
Or vegan
Um,
or something,
yeah,
or if you have
yeah.
food allergies. Yeah.
I feel like that's shouldn't be a complicated process, but sometimes it just is. Some people are just a little bit more sensitive about that stuff.
Right.
All right. So this starts off by saying, I'll preface this by saying that my 45 son, and they use names in here. I'm hoping Tim is, sorry, Tim, if this is actually you.
Hopefully Tim's not his real name.
Yeah. My 45 should be comma, son, 23, recently got married to his now wife, Sarah, 22. We get along just fine as a family, though she tends to act passive aggressive sometimes. She loves food and is always open to try my cooking. She said my cooking was amazing, though she made a few negative comments about certain meals and advised me to use XYZ ingredients next time.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Oh,
See, that also depends right there because sometimes you're just like, hey, have you tried adding cinnamon or something like that? But
right.
once again, people are sensitive and they tend to take things negatively, even though it's not meant with ill intent. But I don't know,
Yeah.
we'll see.
Whenever I cook for somebody, I genuinely
Yeah.
want to know what they think about it. Like, does it need this? Does it need something else?
Yeah.
Have you had this before? How, like I want people to enjoy my food. So if somebody says, I think this could use some more salt, then I'll
Yeah.
put some more salt. Like I'm not gonna get hurt about it, I'm like, oh damn, we should
Yeah,
salt
just
bay the
salt
shit out of this
salt
thing.
bay it. She'd be like, I'm good. I got you.
Yeah. You want some salt? Here you go.
I invited them over for Thanksgiving yesterday. The whole family was there. The bell rang, and I opened the door to see Tim and Sarah. Sarah was carrying what seemed to be a container. I asked about it. I didn't ask about it, nor paid much attention to it. Everyone sat down to eat after I set up the table and put dinner on it. My main dish was the traditional Thanksgiving dish every family in our community knows. I had appetizers and side dishes, and of course, salad and dessert. Sarah then put the container on the table and started unloading food onto her empty plate. Everyone was watching as my eyes widened up. I asked what she was doing, and she said she brought her own food to eat since she won't eat what I cooked. I was stunned. I politely asked if there was a reason for that, and she shook her head. I asked if she was vegan. She said no. I asked if she was allergic to anything at the table. She said no. I asked if she had an upset stomach or anything, but she said no. I asked then why not eat what I cooked for them all day. She just smugly smiled at me, which set me off. I told her that it was disrespectful of her to bring food to the Thanksgiving dinner that I was hosting. She started arguing that she gets to eat whatever she wants whenever she wants. I said it was about basic respect and decency. Tim asked her to at least try some of the dishes I prepared, but she lashed out, telling him that him and I were being unbelievable by deciding what she should eat and forcing her to take it. I said it wasn't like that, but she just got up and said she did not appreciate how I insulted her for simply not wanting to eat my food. She grabbed her stuff, excused herself, and walked out.
Oh my God.
Tim quietly followed her as they left. I was so upset. Everyone was just staring. My husband and I should have just let it go and not commented on Sarah's food choice, but I couldn't help but feel disrespected in my own home. He said, I made her dinner awkward by focusing so much, honestly. Tim texted me the next morning apologizing, but said I should talk to Sarah to clear the confusion. But I'm not sure if there is any confusion. She chose to bring her food to my house after I cooked, especially for her and the others.
Yeah, that is wild. Honestly, it's not the fact that she brought something, it's the way
Mm,
she went about it.
yeah.
Like,
Yep.
all this I just, like, imagine, like, there's a counter or, like, a kitchen island full of food, the turkey, the ham, or whatever, all the
Right.
fixings are there, and she comes in with her container and, like, shoves it on the table, pushes everything out of the way, she's like, "This is my food," and she starts that
I
is
just
wild.
Yeah. So with this one, I was a little confused. I was like, well, first off, sometimes if you notice something, it's best to there's a time and place for everything. Like maybe
Right.
wait till later to talk to her about it because at first she wasn't very outward out. She just put her stuff on her plate and she was like, "Okay, everyone get your food." That's the way I kind of took it. Um, but um, but also her comments afterwards, like, "I don't have to eat your food." It's like,
Well, you're
okay,
here for
oh
Thanksgiving
well,
dinner, so you kinda do, like,
it's
what? That's the whole
like
point of today? Huh?
I mean, I would have at one point just like let it go, like, okay, 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 that's fine. You do you, boo boo.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like, what's your initial take? Like, who is or is there an asshole for this
I
one?
I would say the daughter-in-law is the asshole in this situation, simply
Okay.
because, like, literally with, like, 90% of all these am I the asshole situations,
Yeah.
communication is the one thing that's gonna solve the problem. She just
Yeah.
showed up with a container. She didn't say, "Hey, I know you're making all this food, but I'd really like to bring my own."
Mm,
She didn't tell her beforehand. She just showed up with a container like, "This is mine. I don't wanna eat your food." After being passive aggressive and snarky prior to, like,
yeah.
she obviously doesn't like her mother-in-law's cooking, which is like whatever, you don't have to like her
Right.
cooking,
Right.
but you could like communicate and tell your mother-in-law like, "Hey, I'm going to bring my own plate, so
Mm,
you don't have to cook extra for me," because that's the other thing here is the mother-in-law is cooking this massive feast and she's accounting for the daughter-in-law, and now she shows up with her own food and she's not eating this, so the food is either going to be wasted or everyone else has to pick up the slack, like, I don't know.
right.
I feel like she could have let her know beforehand that she was going to bring her own food, and then it probably would have
Exactly.
been fine.
Yeah. I feel like something like this is I mean, first off, we're seeing this from the mother's point of view.
Right.
And I do feel like some of this stuff, like she kind of set the whole tone for this to be like, well, she's passive aggressive, so that's just how she is, kind of a thing. And
Right.
it's like, well, what if the daughter-in-law really is just unintentional? I mean, yes, her comments that she made afterwards, like, can you guys not force this on me? Uh, that's kind of disrespectful. That could have been taken disrespectfully anyway.
Right.
Uh, but what if the mother-in-law is just seeing this through a passive aggressive lens?
Right.
That was one of the things that I had to take a step back after reading this. I was like, what if she's just seeing it with a crutch on her, a chip on her shoulder, so to speak?
Hmm.
And what if it's not really ill intended, but because she pressed the matter, the daughter-in-law was just like, okay, I'm done here, enough.
Yeah.
You know? So, it was hard for me. This is why I said this one was kinda hard for me to be like, "Are you the asshole? Are you not?" Well, maybe there's a time and place for everything. I feel like this is not necessarily, like, either one or the other is the asshole, but communication is key here, and there's a time and
Right.
place for everything. Alright, so I'm gonna read the top 2 comments. First one is, "Not the asshole. I'd feel disrespected too. Wow." Edit. They just said, "Wow, and thank you to everyone for the upvotes." My bad, I didn't mean to that part. Anyway, uh, they like basically that one was just stating that they feel that she's not the asshole for feeling disrespected by it. And
Yeah.
I do understand that point. The next one says info. And then it says, what are we leaving out of the story? There's something missing. She didn't just randomly bring her own food. Edited to add, you know, you're the asshole because there's something missing. And there's no edits to this. There's no comment back. And this was 2 years ago. So
Yeah. I mean, I
OP
could
had her
definitely
moment.
see the need for some extra context. Like, all
Yep.
she mentioned was that her daughter-in-law tends to be snarky and sarcastic and
Right. About her
passive
food
aggressive.
and
Right. But
which
like,
once
what
again,
is the relationship?
exactly. And once again, all she said that she made a few negative comments about certain meals and advised me to use XYZ ingredients next time. Now, does that necessarily mean it was negative? I mean, this
Right.
this could be a blended family kind of a situation, and
Right.
she's like, "Hey, I'm Italian, and if you wanna make lasagna, let you know that you should add a
Don't
little
put
bit of
candied
this, a little bit."
olives in there.
Yeah, no. Definitely not that. Add a little bit more parmesan here and there, and that will
Yeah.
amp up the flavor and give an extra bit of a texture. And
Right.
maybe she was like, "How dare she, even
Yeah.
suggest something like that?" We don't know this, and that's where that second comment. That's kind of my take on it, where it was like,
Mm.
I don't understand the lens that she's kind of trying to come across with this.
Are we ready for mine? I don't
Yeah,
remember which one I'm doing. Oh, this is a good one. Am I wrong for ignoring guests after they arrived hours early to Thanksgiving? Like, hours.
I'm gonna say no.
Yeah.
You better come
Um,
prepared to cook and clean with me. So,
literally. Literally. I'm like, maybe it depends how many hours. Because, I
oh,
mean, getting there 1 hour early is kind of pushing it. But it's
right,
like, if you're here early to help, great.
yeah.
Like, if you're here early
Exactly.
to be entertained, that's not happening.
Mm-mm. I'm not playing hostess a couple hours early. I'm just saying that right now. When I
Yeah, no.
designate a time, it's I will be hostess at that time. But you get here
Mhm.
early, sure. I mean, you're gonna take a seat while I finish up whatever it is I need to do. Enjoy yourself, but I don't go full hostess mode till I'm like, all right, party's planned at 12. All right, here I am.
Yeah. Put some Bluey on for them. Sit them in the corner. It'll be
Exactly.
fine.
Just play mom. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay. I, 31 female, am hosting an early Thanksgiving dinner today. My husband, 30 male, invited a couple, 33 female, 30 male, that we haven't seen for over 10 years. We used to be sort of friendly before we moved to another state. We had a few casual dinners. I informed them and our other guests that they were expected to arrive around 5 p.m. I'm like, that's a reasonable time. That's a dinner time. This morning, I woke up to a text at 9:30 that they were already in the car and on their way over. I was stunned. I texted them immediately, asking them if they could delay their arrival to this afternoon so that we could be ready to welcome them. They never responded to me and instead texted my husband that they'd be there soon. These guests ended up arriving 7 hours early to our Thanksgiving dinner before lunchtime. Since I still had hours of cleaning, preparation, and cooking to do, I decided that the only way for me to be ready to host this dinner would be to fully ignore them and pretend that they were not there. While I know that the polite thing to do would be to sit and visit with them, I have no patience or time to play hostess while also trying to clean the house and prepare a full Thanksgiving dinner.
Mhm.
They even made some crack on their way over along the lines of, well, we're already coming for the meal, so might as well make it two, which really didn't sit well with me. So far, I'm letting them sit in front of the TV, but have made it clear that I'd be occupied with household work until dinner started at 5 p.m. Am I wrong for ignoring the guests who arrived hours early to Thanksgiving?
No, I don't think you're the asshole at all for being like, you came hours early. Mm-mm.
7 hours early.
No, yeah,
And they
no,
were
thank you.
expecting to be served lunch.
hit up the McDonald's on the way here. All right. Top comment.
Y'all, top comment. 7 hours early. Put them to work or direct them to a nearby attraction to amuse themselves. They
Yeah,
have time for a double feature at the local theater.
I get like, okay, I'm gonna be there 45 minutes early. Usually, if I'm early, I'm gonna give them a call and be like, hey, I'm gonna be about 45 minutes early. Is that all right? If not,
Mm,
we'll stop at the gas station and pick up whatever we need to.
yeah.
Like,
Do you
I
need
usually
anything?
call exactly, "Do you need something? Is there something I can get?" And then go from there, and but 7 hours? That's
Yeah, and I can't
wild.
imagine being the person that shows up 7 hours early because I would feel like the biggest piece of shit on the planet.
Yeah,
Like, I am
I
inconveniencing you to the point where you have to ignore me and I'm just sitting there
mm,
watching TV in your living room. Like, no, that
no,
would be
that's
so embarrassing.
7 hours early to a party you spend maybe, like, 5 hours at. That's
Yeah.
weird.
All right, what we got up next?
Am I the asshole for refusing to go to Thanksgiving dinner if it means I have to be the chaperone when I'm there? Tell you
That's the
right now.
worst when like other people are like, I'm here, watch my children.
As a mom, I simply cannot tolerate when people are like, "Oh, I expect you to watch my kid." I'm like,
Yeah, no.
"No."
It's one thing for them to be there and like having a good time with the other kids or whatever, but
Yeah,
expecting other people to watch your kids, no.
yeah, expecting one singular person that has to watch over all of the kids. I
Yeah.
mean, we'll get to it to see if they have kids themselves, but
Mm,
what if it's kind of like expecting the teenager to watch over all the littles kind of a thing. It's one thing if that's
yeah.
like, okay, that's agreed upon. Like if there's an issue, just let me know. If not, just I don't know, scroll your
Right.
phone.
They'll be fine.
But
Just, make sure nobody dies.
yeah, exactly. But expecting a grown adult to just be to come to an event and be the chaperone, no, we don't
No.
expect people to be that way.
Mm-mm.
But all right, we'll see. I, 27 male, got out of rehab for opioids a month ago.
Oh
I've been
no.
crashing with a friend while I've been trying to get back on my feet. Thanksgiving dinner is tomorrow night with a bunch of family, and I've been invited, with a caveat that my older brother will be my chaperone for the night and will follow me around and make sure that I'm not getting into trouble or ruining the night. So the person has to have a chaperone. Okay, this
This
changes
is completely
everything.
not what I was thinking, and that is
Mm-mm,
so disrespectful.
mm-mm.
Oh
I
my
told
god.
them, yeah, I told them this morning that if they were going to treat me like this, I wasn't able to be trusted and embarrass me like this, then I wasn't going to attend. My brother told me I was hurting my parents and that this is the price I had to pay for being fresh post rehab. I told him fine, but I wouldn't be attending. He told me that he loved me, but I was making a mistake and hung up. Am I the asshole for refusing to attend?
No.
So,
Get away from your family as far as you can. First of all, so happy for you that you've gone through
mhm,
rehab and you're taking the
mhm,
steps to get clean and healthy. Good job. Like, so happy for you. That's great. That's wonderful. And it's not easy. It's very hard to do, but you're
yeah,
doing it. And then for your family to be like, well, we need to make sure that you're not taking any drugs.
right.
Like,
That's
treating
the
them like a
hardest.
toddler. Like,
Exactly. Especially for someone who is recovering from whatever it might be, to
yeah,
then have it loom over your head anytime you're within their presence. That's not helpful. So they're literally delegating their older brother to watch over the other brother. That's
that's
not
insane.
okay. That's not okay. That's not
It
fair.
is. You're infantilizing
Excuse me.
someone that is
Yes.
trying to better themselves. That's
So,
not okay.
uh, top comment, not the asshole. They put a condition on the invite. They're right. You refused. You're right. Giving you a fresh out of rehab Giving that you are fresh out of rehab, you need to expect that you need to rebuild trust. But it is still your right to keep yourself from situations that you're not comfortable with. Everyone loses here. No one has to be an asshole.
No, I think the family is fully assholes. Like, just because
Mm,
someone is out of rehab, you don't have to treat them like a baby.
yep.
They still have autonomy. They're still a person. You can
Right.
treat them like a human being without, I don't know. The family is just so wrong in my eyes for that.
Mhm.
I understand being worried and concerned because I'm sure holidays in the past have not been a good time.
It kind of goes back to, yes, they had to deal with traumas from having a son that was an addict that's or is an addict.
Right.
Um, but not continuing to project those traumas off on him. And I feel like as a family, it some things can go without being spoken. I feel like
Right.
that's a good topic here is choosing when to talk about something
Mm.
and not starting from the get-go and being like, "Hey, we're gonna watch over you."
Yeah.
It's
We
like,
need we need you to stay with your chaperone and make sure you don't do anything out of pocket.
"Thanks." Right, and it's one thing when it's like the family's like, "All right, so and so's gonna be here, let's just keep an eye out and watch over him, that's fine."
Right.
That would have been one thing, because they know that he has a history,
Yeah.
and he's working on himself, but why let them know you're watching them? Are we
Yeah.
trying to just add paranoia here? Like,
Right.
that's
Yeah. Because
that's
you
the
could be like,
part where
"Oh,
I'm just
I'm
like,
going to the bathroom. I
"Yeah,
have to
exactly,
pee.
exactly.
Somebody
Hold
hold my
on.
hand."
I'm getting some water. It is H2O. Just
Yeah.
know this is water. I mean, that would be it's not an enjoyable holiday that way.
For this next one, it's a little bit long, kind of. It's not super duper long. There is like an edit or something. There's two edits on this
Okay.
one, so we'll get there. I am gonna put my glasses on for this one because your girl needs to be able to see.
Yes.
Let me fix this. Wahoo!
I can't wait for you to go back and see what I did while you were doing.
What did you do?
I
That is
was just like,
funny. I'm putting it in. Anyway.
don't mind her. This is just how she is.
This one is called Am I the Asshole for Canceling the Plans for Thanksgiving After My
Hmm.
Parents Called My Brother's Baby Their First Grandchild?
Hmm. Okay, I can't wait for more context on this one because
Yeah.
it seems loaded.
It definitely is. Okay. I, 32 female, have been with my wife Ava, 34 female, for 8 years now.
Mm,
But we've been married for 5. She was a single mom of 3 kids when we started dating. She had 2 daughters, now 10 and 12, and a son, now 16. I've watched these kids grow up. I've read the bedtime stories, done bath time, the first days of school, PTA meetings, all of it. I very much consider them to be my kids, and they've been calling me mom for almost 6 years now. My
mm,
brother Ivan, 28 male, just had a baby girl with his fiancee Sarah, 27 female. I love my niece, and the kids adore their cousin. The kids have been the only grandchildren on my side of the family since Ava and I got together. And there's never been a moment where the kids and my wife were treated like they didn't belong. My brother is their uncle, my mom and dad are their nana and pop. The kids see my family as their family, and I always thought that my family felt the same way about them. The kids and I were over at my brother's house, just hanging out, and my parents ended up dropping by with gifts for my niece. Ivan laughed when he saw the toys and told our mom and dad that they were going to end up spoiling her rotten. My mom said, "My niece is their first grandchild. Of course they have to spoil her." My kids were sitting in the living room with all of us, and my youngest daughter looked hurt when she realized what my mother had said. My son and my 12-year-old didn't fully react to it, but I could tell it bothered both of them. Sarah spoke up and said, "Oh, you mean first grandbaby, not first grandchild." My dad shook his head and replied that my niece was their first grandchild. I didn't want my kids to keep sitting there and listening to that, so I handed my son the keys and told him to wait in the car with his sisters. When they were gone, I asked my parents why the hell they would say that my kids were not their grandchildren. And because and my mom said they couldn't be their grandchildren because they weren't really my children. My wife and I were going to be hosting Thanksgiving at our house this year, but I told my parents that if they didn't view my kids as their family, then they could just host a meal at their own house with their real family while I
Yep.
spent the holiday with mine.
Yep.
I left before they could say anything else to me, and my wife and I have reiterated to the children that they will always be my kids and I will always be their mom, regardless of our DNA. My brother is pissed at me now because he thinks I reacted too harshly and that I should try to see where my parents are coming from. Homophobia, that's where they're coming from. My mom texted saying that she and my dad love the kids, but they still aren't their grandchildren. They are tripling down on this. And she hopes that we can come to understand that because she doesn't want this to ruin my niece's first Thanksgiving. I haven't replied back. I meant what I said, but I'm worried that maybe I'm reacting too harshly.
Yeah. Well, I would have gone harder. I am,
Yeah.
no, that's insane, especially to say it in front of the kids. Like,
Yeah.
people can have their own idiotic opinions, I guess,
Right.
but don't subject children to that and make them feel like they're not included.
Right. It's just so
Uh,
wild how, like, the birth of this one child
mm,
has completely changed the dynamic because she said that there's never been a moment where they didn't
right.
feel like they belonged in this family, that
Mhm.
they've always felt like they belong here. And now that there's a baby involved, now we don't consider them our family because this is a blood relative
Having
for me.
been on this side, yeah, I was on the kids' side, right? And I showed up to one Christmas and they only had presents for the grandchildren, and I wasn't considered one because I was just a stepchild. And my mom literally had to bring a gift for me.
Mhm.
And obviously I remember it to this day.
Right.
Um, and that stuff is very impactful when you don't feel like you don't belong. Um, and that made me angry, even hearing that they're doubling down, tripling down on the audacity of being like, well, they're not they're not our grandkids
Yeah.
anymore. Now that one has been born into the family, that completely negates how you treat these children from here on out. No, I'd much rather go do something with my family to make sure. Like, if I was in her position, I would be like, all right, I'm just going to plan something special for my kids because the holidays. That's the time where you just do things all together. You
Mhm.
set family traditions for yourself. And, in this case, well, looks like they're going to end up starting a new tradition,
Yeah.
you know, and because nothing's worse than feeling like you don't belong in a family dynamic. I'm like, that's not
Right.
okay.
Super mad at the brother for being like, "You're being too harsh on them, they're right, and you should just
No,
try to see where they're coming from." They're
no,
coming from homophobia, like,
yeah,
there's no rational reason for being
yep,
like that and saying stuff like that in front of the children.
nope.
Edit number 1. I adopted all 3 of these kids about 4 years ago, so they aren't even just my parents' step-grandchildren. Even if I hadn't legally adopted them, they'd still be my kids in my eyes.
Right.
So she has adopted them, they are her children. She
Yeah.
has legal rights to these kids. Like,
That's wild that they would still be like, no, we're just going to stick to that. Are you kidding me? Those are, if I was in this woman's position, I'd be like, those are my kids too. And if you're not going to include them, then you don't need to be actively participating in their group, in their family
say
bubble.
bye-bye.
I protect my kids first and
Yeah.
foremost, and I love her take on this. I love how she's gone about it. And no, absolutely not the asshole. The parents are the asshole. The brother's the asshole. He can sit there on his high horse with his brand new baby, and that's, great. Enjoy your baby, but your baby
Yeah.
is not put above my kids. And the fact that the grandparents are like, "Oh, I don't please don't make this a bad thing. I don't want you to ruin her first Thanksgiving."
She's a baby. She's not going to remember it. Like, what are you on about? On the other hand, these
Regardless,
three kids that you were just talking shit about will remember this moment for the rest of their lives.
I'm prime example of that.
Yeah. Edit number two, my wife's parents don't have a relationship with the kids. When my wife came out, they pretty much stopped speaking with her entirely. Their bio dad's not involved, and neither is his family. He lost rights to the children before Ava and I started dating. The 10-year-old's never met him, the 12-year-old doesn't remember him, and the 16-year-old wants nothing to do with him. My parents wanted the kids to call them Nana and Pop. I didn't make the kids start calling them that.
Okay, a little bit more of an informative edit, but
It just makes it worse,
regardless,
though, honestly, because
yeah.
they have no other extended family.
Yep.
And
And that's
her
I
parents were
mean,
the one that were like, "We're your grandparents." And then this baby gets born and they're like, "Never mind. Just kidding." Let's get into this top comment. Not the
I'm
asshole. I mean, obviously.
Avi. Yeah.
Sister-in-law Sarah is a rock star. She totally tried to save that fumble.
Mm,
Your parents should have picked up on that and caught that pass and saved the situation. Instead, they doubled down and argued the point. That's extremely unfortunate, and I'm sorry.
I love this clearly football fanatics take on this.
Love the football references.
Love it. Good job, buddy.
But, yeah, and the person that was like, "You mean grandbaby," is the
Right,
mother of the baby. Like,
right,
that's
right.
crazy.
She tried. She was like, "Wait a minute. Let's not make a mountain out of a molehill," kind of a thing. Nah, we're gonna be homophobic about this. Ugh,
Literally. That's literally all it is.
disgusting.
It makes no sense because you're telling me that if the brother had married Sarah and she already had a child, that they would be treating that kid the same way? I really doubt it.
Mm-mm.
What you got for me now?
All right, all right, all right. Here we go. Uh, am I the
Oh, good.
asshole for take me out to dinner? Take me out to Thanksgiving.
Take me to Thanksgiving dinner.
Hey. Am I the asshole for leaving Thanksgiving dinner early after my brother's toast to me? I love
That sounds
the
interesting.
usage of air quotes today.
There's been a lot of them.
Today was family Thanksgiving dinner. My brother Will is 32 male and I'm 27 male. I'm a recovering addict and have been sober a year from opioids. I've done stints in jail and rehab. It was at my parents' place and a few aunts were invited, some cousins and grandparents. Everyone had a few drinks besides me. And right before we're about to go eat, Will stands up and clangs his glass to give a toast. He's a little tipsy and starts talking about what he's thankful for, being together, food, yada, yada, yada. Eventually, he goes on to say that he is so thankful that I'm still alive and sober and at this Thanksgiving, despite everything that's happened. The room got kind of quiet and there was a toast and we ate. I was beyond embarrassed. The last thing I wanted was that brought up as at the family gathering and Will knows this. Usually after we eat, everyone sticks around for another drink or something, but I bounced as soon as food was done. Will texted me and asked me where I went. I told him I was pissed and he embarrassed me. He told me I was being a dick and he just wanted to celebrate me. I haven't responded. Part of me thinks I overreacted, but the other part knows how I felt in that moment, embarrassed. Am I the asshole?
Definitely not.
Mm,
Again, that is a conversation you could have had in private, you
mm,
know? Step
mhm,
outside for a minute, get some fresh air. Brother could be like, "Hey man, I'm so proud of you for like being sober and you
right,
know, I'm so proud of you for sticking to your program or whatever it is that you're doing."
right,
You can have that conversation. It doesn't have to be at the dinner table. You can just say, "Glad you're here. Happy to have you
yeah.
with us this year." Like
Yeah, it's once again, the theme of mine have been time and place for everything, and
literally.
that's not it. We're not gonna sit here and make everyone uncomfortable. Just you could have said something, like, mildly talking about it, like, "I'm just so thankful for the events of this year and how things have been overcome how we've all overcome obstacles,"
Right.
something generalized, but pointing out a singular person for something that they're clearly not comfortable with,
Mm,
that's
yeah.
inappropriate. It's not
Dick
appropriate. It's
move.
not the time. Yeah. But get this, it is generally in all of the comments that he is the asshole.
For leaving?
Yeah. Yep.
No.
Um, so we have mildly, you're the asshole. It's easy to get focused on the substance of addiction, but beneath the using of the substance itself, the experience of your loved ones was that of seeing you repeatedly place your feelings above all else. You see conflict between recovered addicts and their loved ones because while the addict isn't using anymore, they're still insisting that their feelings must come before everyone else. They want everyone else to pretend it will never happen. The only way out of shame is to go through it. You earn the shame. Now you have to earn your way out to own it and overcome it. One day you'll be able to stand up at that Thanksgiving yourself and make a similar speech to your brothers, fully acknowledging the hurt you caused, but also that you have become a better person and are grateful for their continued love and support without feeling any shame. That's the day when you know you've truly given your all to recovery and rebuilding. Are you kidding me?
That's wild. That is
That's not how
wild.
we talk. That was yeah. First off, that's not how we talk to people
There's
because we're
so
not.
much stigma with being an
Mm,
addict. Like, I get it.
mhm.
People look at addicts and they think, oh, you're just a piece of shit. You know?
Selfish piece of crap. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, People have really messed up views about addicts. I don't remember who, but somebody that I went to high school posted on Facebook one time about how any person that is an addict should just be killed. And I'm like, hello? Like, what? Are you insane? That's wild. That's a really privileged take there. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just people have really messed up views about addiction and addicts and stuff like that. But like OP is like sick of having their addiction be the identifier for them, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe they're sick of having like this is the one thing everybody wants to talk about when I'm around and I just want to be treated like a person, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Can we not have that the main subject? Once again, I'm still sticking with there's a time and place to
Yeah,
talk about these things.
absolutely.
The fact that this person had the audacity, I mean, it kind of seems like the person that commented, the top comment on here, it kind of seems like they went through dealing with someone who has
Right.
addiction
Yeah,
and there's animosity. That's what's spit out in all of this. I wish him well in his recovery.
absolutely.
Um, but I feel like the fact that the majority of comments were like, you're selfish, you're the asshole. It's like, how? There's a time and a place for everything.
Yeah.
And if you know that this is a sensitive subject, which it said, Will knew I was sensitive to this,
Mm.
then he needs to be respectful of your boundaries.
Yeah.
So it comes down to timing and boundaries.
Okay. You get to choose because I think I have one, two, three that I picked. All right. Three. Okay, there's three options. What is wrong with you? Okay. You're completely turned around and like
I seized my
um
opportunity.
all right, well you get to choose the next one, the last one, the final
Okay.
one. The options are: am I the asshole for telling my wife that she can stay home this Thanksgiving? Am I the asshole for standing up for my niece? Uh, am I the asshole for refusing to go to Thanksgiving because my mom won't let my girlfriend stay at her house?
Mm, okay, so what was I think it was the first one.
The wife can stay home this Thanksgiving?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a little interested in that one.
Okay, that one's
What's
kind of short
what's
and
the
sweet.
details? Okay.
Am I the asshole for telling my wife that she can stay home this Thanksgiving? My wife is a grade A plus picky eater. A plus, not A, A plus.
Mm,
It's bothersome to a certain degree, but on holidays, basically the shit show begins. She'd refuse to eat certain meals, and mom would take it personally, which results in a series of arguments between them. As a compromise this year, my wife offered to bring her own food to Thanksgiving dinner. I was stunned. I asked if she thought this through, and she looked at me confused. I told her about how weird it would be for her to bring her own food, especially when she won't be sharing with anyone else, and told her to think about how my mom will react. She'd get very offended and upset. My wife said that it's not her problem, that she was just trying to make it work by bringing her own meal. I told her again that mom might not like or even allow this. She blew up at me, asking if I want her to either eat food she doesn't like or go hungry. I suggested she give my mom's food a chance, but she said it wasn't about the cooking. She just doesn't like certain foods. We had an argument, and I ended up telling her that she could stay home this Thanksgiving and have whatever meal she likes. She got quiet and then lashed out at me, calling me insensitive and negative to say this to her. I repeatedly asked her to calm down, but she couldn't stop ranting about how I was basically willing to exclude her from a major event. She started cold shouldering me about it, and while at the same time guilting me, saying that I'm treating her poorly after she offered the perfect compromise. Air quotes again. And then there's an update, but we'll do initial thoughts first.
okay. Well, initial thoughts. People are allowed to be picky eaters, and why is like food such a battleground
It really
when it
is.
when it comes to a day when everyone's being thankful? They're like, you're allowed to be thankful, but heaven forbid you bring food to my house.
Yeah.
Okay,
Don't you
then
dare eat what you want to eat. With your hands.
oh my gosh, it's just that's wild to me that someone's a picky eater, like whatever the issue might be, texture, they just literally only have like 3 foods. Maybe they only eat mac and cheese and chicken nuggets for the rest of their life.
Right.
I don't know, I don't care. Do whatever it works for you.
As long
And
as you're eating, bro.
exactly. Like why are they having literal arguments over how picky she is? Why you're not going to change her. It's not going to change the situation.
Yeah. It's like she said, like, you want me to not eat or eat food that I don't like?
Right.
You want me to
But then
suffer?
to but then to be like, no, you can just stay home and I'll go to my family.
Mm.
Bro, you're gonna create a division within your marriage that you're gonna kick yourself in the butt about. I'm just saying.
I like how he's also just, like, assuming that his mother is gonna be mad and not allow it to happen
Mm.
when he hasn't even asked her. They don't know if that's a fact. Like,
And the fact that they like constantly get into arguments over what she eats, it's like, why are you delegating what someone else
why do
eats?
you care?
Exactly.
She's eating.
She's eating. We're all sitting down being thankful. This is the whole point of this.
Update. And so my wife has decided to go spend Thanksgiving with her family, who, by the way, lives hours away. So this means unnecessary travel expenses. Instead, and basically ditch me for the whole week. You were gonna ditch her for Thanksgiving, bro. Y'all happy now? That's
Yeah, no kidding.
what he said. Y'all happy
He
now?
really? He was like, "Are you
Yeah.
happy now?" Oh, okay. So we're throwing a
Though,
tantrum. This says a lot
yeah,
about you, bro.
yeah. Though I appreciate some insightful comments on the situation, some
Oh, here
others,
we
not so much. Especially with those assumptions claiming that my wife has allergies. She does not! Where'd y'all get that from? But anyway, it's all good now, I guess, though I'm not too thrilled with her decision. I feel like she's doing it to spite me or get me to cave in.
bro, why you married then? He, clearly, the one he has animosity is his. He it's directed at his wife.
Yeah.
Like she does not have allergy. Okay, oh well, she could have. She's just picky. Oh,
She
wow.
told you she just doesn't like the food. Like,
You're not going to change her. Don't try to change her. That is
right?
your wife. That is someone you married. You decided to be their lifelong partner, or hopefully lifelong partner, as long as you guys stop making it toxic.
Yeah.
Gosh,
If you can't handle her picky eating, why did you marry her? It's not like she suddenly became a picky eater.
you're a super duper butthead in this category there,
Yeah.
buddy. And no amount of tantrums or telling her off is going to change her from being picky. It's more of you need to accept the way that she is. Or if you don't accept the way she is, stop giving her all this animosity and maybe go separate ways because that's what
Well,
it's looking like anyway.
it's also that he was totally chill with ditching her on a holiday,
Mm,
but he's
yep.
upset that she's going to spend the holiday with her family instead of being alone.
I hope you're all happy. Go cry about it.
Unnecessary travel expenses. Well, you could have just like let her bring her own plate and then none of this would have happened. Like,
That's on you, boo boo.
mm. Somebody posted, or I guess the subreddit posted something and said OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. I might have been the asshole for suggesting she stay home this Thanksgiving over a minor conflict about food. She thinks this is a good compromise, which might be, but I wasn't sure my mom would accept. Well, then make sure.
Wasn't sure.
Find
So
out.
you've picked this entire argument with your wife over something you weren't even sure about, buddy.
Exactly.
I need like a button that's like, you're the asshole.
Asshole. Top
Because
comment. You're the asshole. She offered compromise. My wife's family does the Feast of the Seven Fishes. I hate fish. So since I joined the family, it's the Feast of the Seven Fishes and a chicken. We all get a good laugh, and my mother in law is happy to make it for me.
well, that's really
So
nice.
there
See,
you
that's
go.
exactly how it's supposed to be. It's not that hard. It doesn't have to be that difficult. Why are we like creating all these arguments over a holiday that's supposed to be about togetherness and gratefulness? Like, but, heaven forbid someone brings food that wasn't on your menu.
Yeah. That is all for today, you guys. We hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving with your families. Hopefully, they're less dramatic than the stories we read today. Enjoy your meals if you're celebrating. Just enjoy your time with each other. We hope you join us next week for another episode. And like, subscribe, follow us over on Instagram. I'll have the link in the description. And we'll see you in the next one.
Happy,
Bye.
happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Front door, back door, clickety clack. Some shit from Gilmore Girls. I don't know why
Yep.
it's in my head.
Yeah. Are you really gonna snippy snappy at me? Oh, snippy snappy you.